This is my home. No one's perfect, but no one's worth this. We ain't deserving of everything heaven and earth is, but where is good? Northern California. Hey, they better call a paramedic in the street. I got leverage in the street. I'm a California nigga and I'm heavy in the street.
What's up, Nostalgia X family? It's your boy DJ Doom, and you already know who's across the table from me. Let him know.
What up? This is J-Bat.
J-Bat. And we also got little Gohan in the building. Say what's up. Little man. All right. So we got a lot of fun stuff planned for this episode. We're doing things a little different. Normally, we got a nice little agenda we like to knock out while we're going through here. We're doing a little more winging it this time because, we're just having some fun. It's been a crazy week, so we're just going to have some crazy-ish going on in this episode.
Dude, I think today will be the fun day for this and our listeners, because it's kind of like, why do they talk about all this stuff? Where's the fun stuff? Oh, we gonna bring the fun stuff, and it's gonna be today.
Oh yeah. So once again, speaking of listeners, we appreciate everyone that's listening out there, sharing the podcast, liking it on Facebook, Twitter, etc., Instagram, and telling their friends about it so they can come listen to us. We definitely appreciate it.
We appreciate you listening to us at your work.
Oh, yeah. Whether you're listening to us at work, in the car, on your phone, in the gym, whatever the case may be, we appreciate it. And we're going to keep bringing you the nostalgia fun and funny stories and whatnot. This episode, one of my favorite shows called Drunk History, which J-Bat has informed me still airs. I haven't watched it in a while. We don't get drunk, but we're going to do a little kind of our own little variation of that. We're going to find stories, whether it's stories about us or just stories that we like, and we're going to do our own little spin on it. And I think it'll be a lot of fun, and hopefully y'all enjoy that. But do not cite us in a paper for school or a kid's project, because
never. That's a big no-no.
This isn't going to be accurate at all. It's just going to be fun. It's just going to be fun.
I think it's going to be a big massacre of what we're going to bring about.
So normally we like to dive into how our week's spent. We'll to some extent go into that. J-Bat, you want to go into your whole the car fiasco and stuff you're going through right now?
Man, I'm driving home from work. I get off around, I'll say right after the afternoon. I'm driving, and all of a sudden I hear a little clicking noise, and I was like, I'm going to pull over.
Little clicking noise.
Yeah, little clicking noise. The clicky. But I'm like, I'm pulling over. I pull over, my car just shuts down.
Jeez.
First thing in my mind, I was like, oh, crap.
Stranded.
Yeah, I'm going to be stranded. And it's almost like, 100 degrees outside?
It was pretty hot, yes.
And I'm like, oh, crap. Who am I going to talk to? Who am I going to text? Who I'm going to, let them know? But first, I wanted to see what was going on. I popped the hood. Steam everywhere. There's smoke. And I was like, that smells like coolant. So I'm like, okay, let's just praise just this, because I don't want anything else to happen. And then, of course, I'm a little upset because I'm stranded on one of the busiest interstates.
Yeah. Very busy.
And so I'm talking to DJ Doom about what's going on. And I was like, hey, have you had your lunch break yet?
I didn't know what he was getting. I thought he was like trying to eat lunch. It was a little after lunch, though. So I was like, why is he having lunch so late? I was like, he should be off around this time.
Yeah. And I told him, I had one big text, stranded on side of highway, truck broke down.
Yeah, I was like, oh, man. Drop me your pin. And then he dropped his pin with his location, and then I just, because, I've been living in this area for a while, but I don't, know all these streets and stuff. So I was like, just drop that pin, dude. We got smartphones. Yeah. Drop that pin. I will find you.
Thank goodness for smartphones. If it wasn't for smartphones,
things would be a lot harder.
Yeah. I'll be up creek,
Like, where are you at? There's a tree.
There's a big sign.
There's a creepy guy walking towards me from the tree.
There's a lot of cars. I don't know.
It's really hot, and I'm sweaty and nervous, and this guy's still walking towards me, and my car's not working.
Yeah. So after all that, I basically...
This guy's still walking towards me.
There's literally
Oh,
nobody
that's
that was
DJ
walking
Doom.
towards me.
What's up, man?
And then DJ pulls up. He looks at my truck, and I'm like drenched in sweat. I'm trying to take off this hose, and I didn't want him to get all dirty because he was coming from work and everything else. I didn't want him to get dirty.
I had the Rico Suavecito button up on, you know what I'm saying, from the Purple Label collection.
Purple Label. Oh my gosh.
I just made that up.
That was a good makeup. You
Hey,
did it right on the spot.
We might have to make it happen for real, though.
Bring it out. Suave.
But no, hopefully we get all that squared away, and we're going to be doing some stick shift driving lessons this week.
Yep.
That'll be fun.
I'm so excited.
Because the backup vehicle for the meantime until the truck's back up and running is going to be a stick shift. So we got to get J-Bat all up in, stick shift 101 classes going on with DJ Doom. But no, my week was pretty awesome because, I play that game called HeroClix that we love competitively. I travel for it, and that's actually one of my favorite things about it. Not that I need a reason to travel, but having a legitimate reason to go to another state is, I think, pretty cool. And so,
well, going to another state representing your own state, that's a big thing.
Yeah, that's super awesome.
Yeah.
So I went to Mississippi, and I competed in Alabama states for HeroClix. I finished third in Alabama. Played some really good players. Had a lot of fun. Got to play with some of my friends and just hang with all of them. And got to sleep in my own bed because obviously I live here. And
I came for support.
Right. And then Mississippi, that one is obviously not the state I live in, so we had to drive. Unfortunately for me and my two homies that came.
Wait. You didn't say what time you got up.
Oh, I'm about to. I'm about to let them know the craziness. So we had about a 6-hour drive if you round up a little bit. It's like 5.5 hours to a place called Goshen, Mississippi. And it's pretty much on the coast. So we're going from the northern part of Alabama to the southern part of Mississippi. That's the best way to put it. And it ended up being a really long drive. And because I wanted to spend some time with my children on Saturday night. Did you like that? My children.
That's a good Bama way.
I didn't want to leave till Sunday. My buddy said that was cool. So we kind of planned it out and determined that for us to make it at a comfortable time where we didn't have to rush or barely make it, we had to leave at 3 a.m, no later than 3:30. So we made that happen, and because of all this craziness from Saturday, my mind was racing, his mind was racing, so we didn't get that much sleep that night. So yeah, outside looking in, you're like, oh, 3 a.m, no sweat. I'll go to sleep at 10 or 11 or something.
Hey, I had to get up at that time to go to work last week.
Yeah, well, for us, it was, for us, we got up at that time just to get going. And, I mean, the lack of sleep, the commute, the everything, the crappy service on the way there at Mickey D's.
What's Mickey D's? What else, dude?
By the time we got there, too, they didn't open the shop for like dang near another hour. And it was the same summer heat that you were hit with when your car broke down. So we out there waiting. And we just took advantage of the time, and we filled out our sheets for our teams, which is part of what you do before the tourney. And once they opened up, we went in. It was very nicely air-conditioned.
Now, I got a question. I got a question about the sheets. Do you have to print them out and bring it there, or they provide it?
My preference is to print it out, so that way it's done before you get there. Because that's probably one of the most frustrating things. Like, you got to take all this time to do it.
Okay.
You already know what you're playing typically,
and you
should.
You have to
know
write down
what
your
you're
whole
playing.
team.
And if there is like a one little last minute change, like you're discussing it with your buddies and you determine this ID or this piece is better than this piece, you can still scratch it out and write it in versus having to write it all up when you get there. It's no. But definitely always have someone look at it, because the last thing you want is you to just have a brain fart and mess it up. But
I'm all about having brain farts. You should know.
But but no, we went to Mississippi. I got second in Mississippi. Almost won the whole thing. It was really fun, and represented for state of Alabama. Then came back with some prizing, and I qualified for the finals to the HeroClix World Cup, which is basically like the World Championship. So really awesome. Really excited, and that's in October. So looking forward to that. And I got another tournament this weekend. This one's a sealed tournament, so you don't know what you're going to get. It kind of adds to the fun factor. You got to build your team from scratch, from stuff you pulled in a pack. Sometimes you end up with garbage. Sometimes you end up with some decent stuff. But when you pull something awesome, you get to keep it. So that's also cool. And if you do really well, you can get points to qualify for big tournaments.
I think once hearing about the sealed tournaments that just happened for this new set, nobody's been upset about what they pulled. Yeah. So there's a lot of people pulling some really good stuff.
There's a lot of super rares, and then there's one chase per break, it seems. So that means if you're getting 2 boosters, you have a 20% chance of pulling a chase. I pulled a chase in the pre-release, Apache Chief, for those old Super Friend fanboys and fangirls.
I'm one of them.
Yeah. And that's what all the rare figures are. But yeah, that's enough about that. Had a lot of fun, and more fun coming this weekend. J-Bat's kids are having a birthday party as well. So that's coming up.
Splish and splash, we're going to get wet.
And then little Gohan will be there.
What?
Splishing and splashing, slipping and sliding. And
he don't know there's a lot of water balloons going to happen.
Ooh.
He going to find out the hard way.
But yeah, that'll be a lot of fun. There was something else going on this weekend, but I can't remember. We'll get to it later. But from there, I think we should get into our little fun segment here.
I'm excited for this.
So basically, me and
it can be great or it can be terrible, but you know,
if it's terrible, y'all will never hear it.
Yeah,
I will never hear it. I will stop this and all right. But no, it's gonna be a lot of fun. So let's get on to that. All right. So our first one we're gonna go into is gonna be about the Titanic. Everybody's probably seen that movie at
far, wherever you are. Okay, that's all I know of the song.
That's all you get. That's all you get. That's it. Drunk history. Hashtag.
That's my claim to fame right there. Hashtag Americans Got Talent, baby.
Americans Got Talent?
Yes, Americans. Because we American.
That's the bootleg. The show's called America's Got Talent.
Well, I'm changing it up, okay? So sue me. Not really.
But no, we're going to go into our version of the Titanic. This has nothing to do with the main story. Rose is not in this story.
No.
This story is about one of the Filipino castaways that was working in the
kitchen.
Yeah, working in the kitchen. They wanted to get cheaper, or not cheaper, I'm sorry, lower paid individuals in there. So, they had a few international
he's the
employees.
Shortest cook, so he got the shortest pay.
Right. Shortest pay. He was very quick with the meals. Mm-hmm. Shortest prep time.
They depended on him because he got things so short.
Right. He was also short with people, so his tips were very short.
Man, things with Filipinos, they always got that attitude.
Right. And then
Hashtag me.
They use all the... they mispronounce what is it, F's and P's? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
You gotta be kidding me.
So when you say Filipino, they don't say a f, it's p.
Yeah.
Filipino. It's Filipino.
Right.
So if you hear a woman just talking I laugh every time I hear it too. So think of the cook just saying, we got the flour in the pot. I want you to stir it, and I want you to cut up the flowers. Cut them up, just cut them up. Cut up the flowers so it can be garnished. So just think of hearing that. Replace the P's with F's.
Right.
And replace the F's with P's.
There you go.
Sorry. And then just hear that. It is hilarious.
So, what do they replace the P's with?
I don't know.
Peter Funkin' Eater.
Well, they say
Peter Funkin'
The funny
Eater.
thing is they say their P's very, correct. And but their F's are very, very off.
It's the best way to put it.
Yeah.
But going back to our story, Mr. Filipino here, he's going bunk to bunk, making sure everybody's got their dinner for the night when everything went down. You know what I'm saying? The whole iceberg and stuff like that. So let's give our man a name.
Mistaking him as a kid.
Right. That's actually how he got out. You
Yep.
know, they mistook him for a kid because the guy was about 4'10".
Well, he went to go knock on the door to see if families are leaving, and he sees a kid's pair of clothing in his size, so he puts that on, and he mistakes himself as a kid.
Right. He's got a little sailor outfit going on, a little pinwheel hat. And you've seen the movie, the little lifeboats, little
Big old lollipop.
He just goes and sneaks in. He don't look like nobody, so they really like, oh, where are your parents at? And he's just like, I don't know. And they felt sorry for him.
They might be over in the other boat.
Right. So they let him sneak on one of the boats, and I don't know what his name is. What are we gonna call this guy? Little Tito. Little Tito was able to escape on one of the boats. So he watched the Titanic completely turn up, crack, and then go under from one of the lifeboats. And whenever they landed, I want to say they landed in. Didn't they turn those back around to London?
Yeah. Because that's where they were close to.
Right. He had to start a new life. So that is how Filipino food made it to London.
Oh yeah.
So we got what's the name of the chicken that y'all love? Chicken adobo. Oh, yes.
Different varieties.
Little
of adobo.
Tito. Little Tito. We just owe it all to Little Tito and him dressing up like a little sailor and making it on that lifeboat.
Jeez.
So see, sometimes being short can pay off. You can be mistaken for a child and saved from the Titanic.
Yep. Plus, you can get away with riding kids' rides.
Right. Too bad Disneyland and Disney World weren't around then. Otherwise, Tito would have gotten more benefits. From there, guys, we're going to go into the story that everyone thinks they know, but me and J-Bet actually know.
Mickey
Oh.
Mouse.
Like,
If you don't know who that is, Mickey Mouse.
I never heard this song before. Go on and get it.
You haven't heard that song.
I'm sorry, man. They don't
Okay,
play
we
that
gotta
in Puerto
pause.
Rico.
We gotta pause on the drunk history.
They don't play it.
It's from the Mickey Mouse Club.
Yeah, I only watched like very little of that. I watched like the Britney Spears year.
They always sang that. They sang that at the end of every episode.
Yeah, see, I would have already flipped the channel by then. Like,
Oh man.
Ninja Turtles, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, hitting something else up. But anyway, Mickey Mouse, how it all came about. Everyone thinks Walt Disney was the only one behind Mickey Mouse. We know he drew him, Steamboat Willie or Steamboat Mickey, whatever. And, we know all about that and all the work that they had to put in to do animation back then because everything was pretty much done by hand. And then this one device where it would, help you with the tracing and stuff like that. But things took a lot longer back then for animation. When it comes to Mickey Mouse, what a lot of people don't know is that he actually wasn't supposed to be a mouse. He was supposed to be a a really bad drawing of Walt Disney's ex-girlfriend.
Oh.
Yeah, really, really bad drawing.
Yeah, I think that was like the baddest breakup he ever had. That's the reason why he made that.
Yeah, he just wasn't having it. And her name was Mickey. Obviously, Mickey is kind of a unisex name.
Hey,
So
Mickey, you're so...
that
No,
makes
not
yeah.
that one.
So that makes hey Mickey. But that makes a lot of sense when you really think about it. And that's also how Minnie came about. You know, the more he looked at Mickey, he was like, you know what? We know why we drew this. Let me go in and put some eyelashes on her and a skirt. And there we go. We got Minnie and Mickey, which I guess those were the nicknames they used to go by when they were together. But anyway, dude was not having it. You know, he was super, super not over her. So he drew this ugly little mouse and gave it a name. And, you know, they went from there. As far as what he planned to do with the drawing, he was just messing around. So the fact that it ended up being the face of Disney, and we're over here wearing it on shirts and singing songs and starting clubs about it. It was just some little hoe that Walt Disney used to mess with.
And the phrase, it started with one Mickey, the person.
So look it up, guys. I mean, very, very, very hard to find story, but DJ Doom and J-Bad bringing you the facts.
Hashtag keeping it real.
And from there, we're going to go into potentially our last story for our first little tipsy history.
Oh, that's a good one. I like that.
Why the DeLorean is the greatest car ever made. And for those of y'all that are unfamiliar with the DeLorean, y'all need to go online right now because y'all need to see how awesome this thing is.
We're going back in time.
What? But the
Thank
DeLorean is the vehicle, or should I say, the chariot.
Ooh.
To the future. And if you haven't seen Back to the Future with our boy Michael J. Fox playing Marty McFly, and the famed Doc, you need to check that out. I would suggest part one or two.
And the flux capacitor.
Right. And the DeLorean is the car on the movie. You've probably seen it. If you've seen the cover to the movie, it's typically featured on there. And it's definitely the greatest car ever made. Not just saying that because Back to the Future is one of my favorite movies. It is truly the best. They used jet, I don't know how to classify this, the same type of aluminum they use on razor blades. Those things shave faces, man.
So it's smooth.
Right.
It's nice and smooth.
And
it's shiny.
I'm not exactly an engineer for vehicles, but if a razor blade can shave your face like as smooth as a baby's bottom, putting it on a car, I would say from an aerodynamic standpoint or just it, speeding down the road.
It has to be smooth that you reach that 85 miles per hour.
Right. So you can trigger the time jump.
Yeah.
It makes sense to me. So aluminum was the only option. Aluminum was the only option. Mm-hmm. So kudos to Sergio Van Hoosen that made that happen. And Sergio Van Hoosen.
I'm sorry, Sergio. I'm sorry. Please forgive me.
Sergio Van Hoosen for choosing that.
That's a tongue twister right there.
Yeah. Hoosen.
Say that 5 times fast.
Right. In a Filipino accent.
Ooh.
I'll pass on that, Toto. Anyways.
Oh, that's so bad.
So Sergio made the call on that. High five, Sergio. It made the car more aerodynamic so it can hit speeds above 80. The manufacturers behind the DeLorean, I think they only made one other vehicle because they knew they had truly created perfection with this vehicle. The doors Lamborghini doors have nothing on these. I believe they refer to them as butterfly doors. They're freaking amazing. So amazing that egotistical Kanye even used them in a music video. I mean, that's pretty big right there. What can I say?
That's why the DeLorean's so famous.
Right there. I mean, even Kanye has one or had one, or I mean,
He probably still does. He has it in his collection, probably.
He probably had to let it go because it was just outshining the boy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like everywhere you go, it's like, look, it's a DeLorean. Look, it's Kanye.
Outshining over his Yeezys,
It's like,
man.
look, it's Kanye. No, look at his car. Like, yeah, that's true. That's way more hot. So, Sergio Van Hoosen, decided to make these limited edition and had them individually numbered, and you had to pre-order the vehicle in order to acquire it. Most of the original owners of these vehicles were celebrities, multimillionaires, billionaires, hotshots. Kanye was not one of the original owners because obviously this car came out in like the mid-late 80s. We're just going to say 86 because that seems like the right year. That seems like a Sergio Van Hoosen number.
Yeah, it does.
And
it rolls.
Right. It was a very good year. And I'm sure there were a few other things. Like I think there was a Transformers movie that came out that year and a couple other things. But the most important thing of that year is definitely the DeLorean. The second you see it, you just forget everything you were thinking or about to say. That's how amazing this car is. Mm-hmm. And if you jump in, I'll just call it the cockpit. If you jump behind the wheel, it's like nothing else matters, man. And you got surround sound speakers from boyz. You also got a 6-speed manual transmission with aluminum steer. I don't know. It's just awesome.
This is so amazing. You can't even, predict everything, what's all in it, because it's so awesome.
It comes with built-in techno music. You know what I'm saying? So it just like...
And the 8-track player.
Because who doesn't need that? It's like, that's actually the perfect amount of tracks. 8. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? You don't need intros. You just go straight to business. Most CDs or most albums... Who the hell plays CDs these days? I mean, 8 tracks is what you need. That's a perfect amount. If you buy an album with 20 tracks and 8 are good, you'll listen to that album for a good amount of time.
Yep.
So 8 tracks is all you need. The rest is like fluff. Like, what are you doing? You make an album with as many tracks as Drake's last album. It's like, dude, you could have stretched this out over the next 3 years, and maybe Van Hoosen would have hooked you up with like one of the individually numbered DeLoreans, dude. But it is what it is. I'm gonna get me one of those with my tax refund. So maybe we'll be riding out, in the DeLorean very soon. And
I'll make sure to bring the flux capacitor.
Please do, or else we're not gonna be able to make it to the grocery store because you already know. Got to pick up some asparagus and
Aspergas.
some V8. V8 splash if you nasty. Mm-hmm. Gotta clear the throat for this one because this is one I only whip out for the special occasions.
Whoa. Not in here. Not in here.
I'm talking about a story, okay?
Sure you are.
Okay? Let's not get too excited here. Although this story is worth getting excited for because it's one of my favorite drinks. Maybe one of yours.
You do drink it a lot.
I do prefer the newer kind of.
You like the different flavor.
The newer kind of take, like the grape Kickstarter.
Yeah,
that's my favorite. That purple drink, you know what I'm saying?
Sippy of the drinky drink.
Right. Purple drink, dirty Sprite.
Dirty Sprite.
But no, Mountain Dew. How it came about, I'm about to let y'all know the story behind it. Back in 1927 in Mississippi, there was a bigger fella. His name doesn't really matter, but they referred to him as Mountain Jack. So Mountain Jack lived in the mountains. I mean, hence the nickname. He was from Mississippi. I don't know if I mentioned that. Coincidentally, I was there this weekend. I wasn't looking for Mountain Dew. I mean, that's obviously pretty easy to find now. But Mountain Jack, he'd be out in the mountains for months on end and very little options for food and drink. And so I guess he got bored one day and started mixing up different things that he found. He would throw little jars outside to collect, the dew and the, rain, water, and other weird things out there. And
Now the dew. Now, what would the dew be from?
the fog, mist, and all that other stuff that's in the air. And
I was
all
thinking
that,
like the dew off of grass,
that stuff. Yeah, he'd put jars all over the place, like little mason jars. So he had them on the ground. He was kind of a collector, kind of like you and me, J Bet. So except we collect cool things. He collects weird things. And this was the 1800s or early 1900s. So, there weren't electronics and other cool things like we have now around or readily available.
No cool stuff.
Right. So cool back then was like snakes and beetles and weird ish like that. But anyway, Mountain Jack was all about his little mason jars. And like I said, there wasn't many options for drinks and food. So he tried a few of them and found one that had a pretty peculiar taste and seemed to give him a little kick. That little kick that he needed to get through the day to get all his work done.
Good old kick.
Right. So that's sort of where Mountain Dew started. As far as where it's gotten to today and how it's become like this extreme drink, I think that boils down to the second part of the story with it, which is Mountain Jack going to the city and winning the Special Olympics. Mountain Jack. The Special Olympics, a lot of people don't know this.
Sounds like a steroid drug. Mountain Jack.
Mountain Jack. Mountain Jack entered the Special Olympics, and you may ask, well, how did he enter the Special Olympics? He doesn't sound special. Turns out he was special. He entered because he was special. Like people just knew, like they felt that he was, extraordinary. So.
Like special in the head or like special.
When you see somebody and you're like, that man's special or that person's special. I don't know. They never checked him on it, I guess, but that's what they would say about him.
Okay.
So he got a pass, even though he doesn't quite meet the special requirements to be in the Special Olympics nowadays. But it was the 1920s. They didn't check stuff back then.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, we really don't know what Mountain Dew, the first batch, was made of. We just know that, Jack made it, Mountain Jack. And he's featured on the limited edition cans you might be able to find around certain parts.
I think you can only find them in, like, gas stations now.
Yeah. Well, that's Mountain Jack on there.
Yeah.
But he won the first Special Olympics. Event-wise, I don't know what he participated in, but I know that any race that he ran barefoot because his feet were too darn big. He had the hugest toes, so any shoes he ever purchased would just bust right through him. And shoes weren't what they used to. Shoes aren't what they are now.
I think my dad would probably categorize it as Flintstone feet.
Yes. He had a case of those. He had a case of the Flintstone toes, Flintstone's feet, everything.
Ew.
But yeah, Mountain Jack, the creator of Mountain Dew, and a lot of people don't know that. Also a Special Olympian, and oh shit. Oh man. But let's see. I want to close this out with video game cartridges over CD-ROMs. So growing up, Nintendo, that was a big thing for me. And, if a video game wasn't working, you'd have to pull that cartridge out, hit it with the... And everyone had their own little technique behind it. Some people just hit it with a little single. Some people had little a little Q-tip or something that they would maybe rub in the little metal pieces. I can't think of what they're called right now, just to get it all clean.
Dude, I was always afraid of if I had a Q-tip to use that, I was afraid to break it.
Yeah.
Break it on that little board part.
Right. I did the Q-tip thing when there was games that I'd blow them and it just wouldn't work. I'd hit the Q-tip up, but then there was also a little trick that I'd put my Nintendo game in, push it down, slide it slightly to the right, and then put another video game on top of it, because there was something where after you've had your Nintendo for a certain amount of time, the pins would get bent. There was just a defect.
Yeah.
And so you push the game down and then it might load up, but then it would flash. And that was from the pins getting bent at the bottom for where you put the game. So one thing you can do is put another game on top, and that would keep it pressed down to where it doesn't make the screen flash.
Mountain Jack.
Husky Mountain Jack. Oh, good. I'm gonna put that on a shirt. Let me tell you. But no, guys. I hope you had fun. This was a very fun episode to do, and we'll bring you more crazy stories soon. Tipsy history. Wanted to say shout out to all the listeners, for those of y'all that are showing us love.
Yeah.
We appreciate it. For our homies that had birthdays this past week, feliz cumpleaños to y'all.
That means happy birthday.
Right. And we'll keep it coming. Show us some love on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook when you get a chance. And we also have a Patreon, patreon.com/NSX podcast. Catch y'all next week, guys.
Deuces.